Hi friends, this is Laura Whitney. I'm a therapist at Cache Valley Counseling and presenting another Max Group video for you. This morning I want to talk about self-improvement. Just a quick little check-in though, if you're really struggling, please reach out to the suicide hotline at 988 or call 911 for some help, okay? Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and just talk to you today about self-improvement. This is a topic that's kind of precious to me. I've always tried to work to improve and be better, but there's also times that it can be a real struggle and we can get kind of stagnant and stuck. So I just kind of wanted to open this up and just be a little bit real, right? Um, uh, Things that are important to us, I think, are constantly feeling like that we have a purpose, that we're growing, that we're improving, that we're progressing in life, right? Like this is sort of wired into us as human beings to feel like we are making progress in life. And yet there's also this sort of precious balance of making sure that we're resting and recharging. And only we can really know the difference, right? And where we are in life and what we need to be doing at any particular point in time. I'll sometimes use the example of I had a year where I was working full time at my old job in my old career, and I was still taking some classes to finish up my master's degree, and I was also working on my internship for my marriage and family therapy master's degree. And that was a long year. That was a hard year. And then after I graduated, I remember, I was still working, and doing things during the week, but on my Saturdays, I would find myself just sitting on the couch and binging Netflix, right? And I would think I really should get up and do something. Like I was maintaining the house, I was taking care of all the chores that needed to be done, like the laundry and the trash and the dishes and the daily stuff, right? But I wasn't really getting anything more done, the deep cleaning or the organizing stuff like that that comes as a part of life. And yeah, every Saturday I would just kind of sit there and watch Netflix and think I really should be doing more, and then I wouldn't move. And about the sixth Saturday, about the fourth episode, it was like something clicked in me, and I went from needing to rest to feeling sluggish. It was like I could feel that change happen in my body, in my system. And I knew, oh, okay, I'm done resting and it's time for me to get up and do something a little bit more productive. So that's the beauty of us. Like we get to know ourselves. We get to understand what we need, but we really do have to be listening. We really do have to be paying attention. And it's certainly okay to rest at times, right? Our capacity kind of changes from day to day and season to season of how much energy we've got and what we can accomplish. And we get to listen to that. But also it's sort of natural for us to kind of be lazy, right? And so we have to listen to that part of us too and be like, well, am I just being lazy? Or do I really need to be kind of resting and recharging right now? So listening to that sort of inner messaging that we've got going on is so super important. It's so important to know what's happening for us. And so when it comes to self-improvement, we get to be sort of our own coach and our own cheerleader, but also our own monitor of, are we pushing too hard? And what is our motivation? Right? Our motivation is super important. If we want to be learning a new skill that's going to change our career path, if we want to be learning how to do something for a hobby, right? Because we enjoy it and we just want to learn to do it better. Or is there this little voice inside telling us, well, you're not allowed to rest. You have to always be achieving, right? Or you're not worth anything. We really have to understand what's happening inside of us. So there's different ways that we can be working on improvement, and we get to determine what that is. And doesn't worry about we don't have to worry about what anybody else is doing. We can use other people for inspiration, but if we find ourselves negatively comparing with other people and what they're achieving, that's probably not going to lead anywhere good, right? Again, if it's inspiration and that makes us find our own path to move forward and to grow, that's beautiful. But if it's making us feel less of ourselves, then we get to kind of stop and think about what's going on for me right here. I kind of made some notes of people that have inspired me, and I wanted to read a little bit of that. So, I have a friend who's recovered from cancer and now competes in Ironman competitions. I have a friend who, when she found out her son was autistic, quit her job and learned everything she could about autism, and then learned everything she could about her son in this new light in order to be what he needed. I have a friend who has amazingly creative skills, and he can build dioramas or repair craft items that have been broken. I have a friend that I have friends that have focused on losing weight. I have friends that have focused on gaining education. I have friends that are focusing on mental health and how to process through trauma or how to just be a better person. I have friends who are artists and musicians who are always trying to improve or hone their crafts. And I have friends who are not artists who just play around with art and see what they can create. In my therapy room every day, I get to work with people who want to improve their lives in some way or another. We are wired for progress and improvement, for growth and for learning. And what we don't have, when we don't have this in our lives, we feel stagnant and sluggish and sometimes even depressed, right? Some of us are just naturally wired to go and go and go, and we're accomplishing lots of things and achieving things just seems to be part of our nature. This may be something in our DNA, or maybe it was something that our parents modeled for us. Maybe it's something we learned in spite of what our parents modeled for us. Sometimes it feels like going and achieving is a requirement for our worth or value, like I mentioned before. In those cases, is it actually self-improvement, or is it just chasing a carrot that will never be reached? Others of us may really struggle to get going. Maybe we haven't had much luck with achieving. Maybe we've been told we're not good enough and have failures both in careers or relationships that make us feel like what's the point in trying, right? Some of us may feel actually kind of paralyzed and just can't seem to get up off the couch or get out there and do something or get out of bed. And we get to give ourselves a little bit of grace in that space and maybe understand, what is it that paralyzes me? Is it something we're running from? Negative messaging in our head that's telling us we're not good enough? Is it something we're running to, trying to achieve, trying to get those kudos for doing a good job? Like, is that how we feel our worth and value? Um, the motivation is so important, like I've said before, to understand what's driving us forward. Um, for me personally, it comes pretty easily to try to do well with work things. I've always liked to do well and to achieve, and it's come pretty easily to me to like do well in school and stuff like that. And so then when I was a kid, I would get lots of, "Hey, you're so smart," right? And that makes me feel good, and so I'd keep going. But I went through kind of a rough period in life where maybe it got a little bit harder to get out there and do. For me, I have a lot of energy that is mental energy. I have a lot of emotional energy. I have a lot of spiritual energy. But I do not have a ton of physical energy. Like, it's just never been my thing to be really physically active and to get out there and do things like that. Um, and so that's been my struggle. And as I'm aging and going through life's changes, right? Like, it's harder to be sedentary. My body's not going to tolerate it as well as it used to. I could get away with it before, and now it's like, my doctor's like, your cholesterol's high and your blood pressure's high, and so you might want to do something to change that, or that's going to really have effect on you in the long term. Ugh. Okay, so now Laura gets to do a little bit of self work in an area that doesn't come so easily, right? Um, and I actually had a great conversation with my doctor last week about this, because I'm like, I have actually tried really hard. Like, there's been times in my life where I have like fully committed to doing CrossFit or something for 3 months, or I've fully committed to a weight loss program, and I've had a little bit of like success as far as maybe some weight loss, but I have never actually felt better. Like, when I've exercised, like, I don't get it. It doesn't make me feel better. And I don't enjoy it. So this is one of my struggles. And yet, if I want to be healthy as I age, I'm probably going to have to try to figure out how to do this. And my doctor made a great comment. She was like, you know what? For you, it's not going to be something that feels good right now. It is for some people; they really enjoy it, right? But for me, it's not going to be something that I'm going to enjoy in the moment. I need to figure out how to get the energy and the motivation to do this for more of a long-term thing. Like, I want to be able to walk around and walk upstairs and get into my 70s and 80s and not have hip problems and joint problems if I can avoid it, right? So I have to think more, this is going to help me in the long run, but in the immediate, I don't like this and it doesn't make me feel any better. And this is new for me. This is a new place for me to go. And so I've been giving this a lot of thought, and I've been looking at different resources of how to view my relationship with my body and my physical activity. Like, how can I change my perspective on this? And instead of like, oh, well, it's something I have to do, everyone eat right, exercise, blah, 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 right? Um, to get to look this differently in terms of, well, I want to take better care of myself for the long run. I want to kind of be partners with this body that I've been given. And I want to make sure that we can be a good partnership for the rest of my life, and that maybe I should treat her a little bit better, so she'll treat me a little bit better in the long run, and I start to get little aches and pains because I don't have enough, strength in the muscles. And so if I want to help myself for the long run, I need to kind of do choices now that I don't love right now. And boy, that's a hard thing to do. That is so hard to motivate ourselves in that way. And this has been a really good lesson for me, because I've seen this in friends and in clients like that struggle to get up and just do the things that really you need to do to have a better quality of life. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is my turn to learn this. So this is where I am right now. Like, I'm trying to be patient with myself and give myself a little bit of grace and not compare myself with my super active, healthy friends. Like, right, that's them. That comes naturally to them. But I probably do better in other ways than the ways that they struggle, right? And that's okay, because we're all on our own journey. So giving ourselves a little bit of grace and patience in the self-improvement process is so critical. And I've talked, oh, there's a cat. That's Pixie. Um, it's so important. I've talked in previous videos about giving ourselves easy wins, right? Like, hi, Pixie. Giving ourselves the opportunity to get some easy wins in. So I was talking about that in terms of goals previously, but in this time it's going to be about like the last 2 Sundays have been really nice weather-wise here where I live, and so I have taken some walks. I literally went around the block, like it's just one block. But I'm going to call that a win, right? Like, that's more than I did all winter, right? Like, to just be able to get out there and take a walk. And I had some Achilles pain, and at my doctor's appointment, she's like, well, here's some stretches you can do. And I was like, okay. So I've just been doing those stretches, and hey, my Achilles feels better. So some simple things that can be easy wins for us will help us stay on the path of self-improvement, right? And also, when I knew I wanted to do this video on self-improvement, I put it out there to my Facebook crowd, my friends and family, and I asked them, what do they do for self-improvement? So I wanted to read you some of these because I thought there was some really good comments. One of my friends says she has to remind herself, this is what we're working on to change. So kind of like just keep checking in, like, this is the thing I want to work on. A friend said get more sleep. A bedtime routine makes everything easier. One of my friends recommended a YouTube channel, Anna Runkle, and a video series called Crappy Childhood Fairy. And he said this has really been helpful to him and helped him understand a lot of things. He says she's been an answer to my prayers. I owe much of the progress I made on my PTSD to Crappy Childhood Fairy. And that kind of sidebars me to what amazing resources we have in this time and place, right? Like, I'm a child of the 80s. I was born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s, right? And boy, we couldn't just hop on a computer and get information like we can now. And there's a lot of commentary about negative things out there, and there's certainly not a lot of negative things out in the world, but man, there's a lot of positive resources out there. So we have access to so much information, books on tape. Like, I have also come to realize, like, after grad school, after my father died, and I went through divorce, and I went through grad school, like, my brain doesn't really work the way it used to, and I'm okay with that. But so I can't really read. My brain can't concentrate enough to read, but I've started listening to the books on tape, and I love that. So that's a huge resource, right? So a little shout out to what the world can offer us for information. And a recommendation for the book, The Four Agreements. A friend of mine said, I build a pyramid of things I need to work on. I take steps so I don't set myself up for failure. So that's those little wins, right? I also write myself a crap ton of self-affirmation notes and put them all over my house. Okay, I love that. Another friend made a lot of comments about spiritual things that he does to uplift himself, listening to church talks, practicing gratitude practices. I loved this comment. I avoid negative influences. Man, that's something that we don't think about a lot, right? What are we feeding our minds and hearts, right? So maybe we don't have the energy to do a lot of self-improvement stuff, right? But maybe we can avoid the negative stuff, right? Like, maybe I am not going to eat a ton of vegetables today, but that I don't have to go eat all my sugar either, right? Um, let's see, staying up with technology and learning how to apply it in my life. I love that comment. Looking for ways to serve my sweetheart family and friends. I love that. Keeping a relationship with the divine, with your view of God, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, just the universe. Like keeping a relationship with something that feels bigger than us is very important. It kind of helps us, I think, generate humility and realizing that we're not alone, like there's another source out there for us. Recognize challenges in life are a growing opportunity. Trying to improve each day. I don't negatively judge others. I try to see life through their experience and recognize that we all get challenged to our limits. Boy, I think that one's huge. How we view others, we will often is often a reflection of how we view ourselves, right? So if we're super negative on others and judging them and not giving them a little bit of benefit of the doubt, we're probably not doing it for ourselves either. So I love that comment. Keep scrolling here and see what I can find here. One of my friends said, read all the books. Love that. Another friend commented about meditation and mindfulness. Another friend said self-care, pampering. Oh, I loved this. My friend said, my family has pity parties. When we have a rotten thing happen, the whole family gets together and talks trash and feels sorry for the person. We can cry, scream, cuss, throw things, pretty much anything, about half an hour, and then we put it away and we move on. Like, I thought that was cool, and having a support system to do that with. Love that. Getting plenty of rest so you can have more energy. Traveling, keep you humble and expand your life experience. I love that idea. You don't have to go across the sea, just get out of your normal environment. I loved that. Yeah, so I think that's the end of it. So there's so many ways to work on self-improvement. It doesn't have to be a big, huge thing. It doesn't have to be losing 100 pounds or getting a master's degree, right? Like it can be, hey, I took a walk on Sunday, right? Or, hey, I got out of bed 20 minutes earlier today than I did yesterday, and I was able to be a little bit more productive. I cleaned one thing up off the floor of my room. I called one friend. There's give yourself the little winnable ways to achieve this self-improvement idea. And again, what I think is most important is to again balance that human thing that we have inside of us where we really need to be growing. If we are not growing, we are going to feel sluggish and stagnant, and that's going to lead to some depression and some struggles, right? So we want to be growing, but man, we've got to be balancing that with the rest and to be merciful to ourselves, to give ourselves grace and patience as we work on this process of life, right? And not comparing ourselves with everybody else, but comparing ourselves with us yesterday. Like, how was I yesterday? And how am I today? And how do I want to be tomorrow? And so those are my best thoughts on self-improvement. I wish you so much luck in this process, and just be kind to yourselves and to others. Okay, have a great day.